Okay, so one interesting web API that I was going through was this web audio API. So let's try to build something interesting with this API using again the same format that we have where we use cursor to build something interesting, right? So there's a lot of documentation given over here. And basically the gist is like you can give some input, put out some effects onto the audio stream and then basically output that audio. So you could modulate an audio signal. That's what this says. There's a lot of theoretical things given and also a lot of examples below. But the intent here is to see, okay, can we give a very generic term to the cursor and whether it understands some of this and then is able to build something that we want, right? What I'm trying to say is, can it build some kind of device which can generate sound? Like actual music, maybe a keyboard which when we play should be able to modulate the voice and then play. Let's see what comes out, right? If we are able to give this input to the cursor and see what are the possibilities with this. So let's try to back here and see if we give it a web API documentation. This way, okay, audio, yeah. Use this docs. I create, see if we can create relation using APIs. Some sound generation or synthesis. This is very generic, but let's see what comes up with. It's able to give us some output, but I think we lacked a thing there where we didn't give it context of what we want. We didn't tell it to implement HTML and then include, but yeah, interesting. It automatically took HTML and added the JS for it. We didn't specify that explicitly. Okay, interesting. Let's see if we are able to make this go live and then see what happens. So it's coming up on 500. We get different waveform. Okay, this is interesting. Use your keyboard keys to play the notes. Okay, this is interesting. So it's able to play kind of keyboard using only the keys. And this didn't expect this. Pretty much what's happening here is I think it's able to modulate the sound based on whatever APIs are there. And this is really interesting. We could try to go into the code and see what's happening here, or we could ask it to explain what's happening here. So let's do L and say explain how is the sound generated. Okay, so what it is saying is there's an audio context setup, okay, that it has set up. Now there is a generation. So basically it's modulating the values of oscillator node and gain node, and then that is what we are changing over there. It's like based on the keys. And when a key is pressed, we modulate these values. Okay, we create oscillation and then the gain. And then we are doing some manipulation on those values based on we are initiating those values. Then there is a frequency mapping. Okay, so when we say A, it is this frequency. Now when it is W, it is this frequency. Okay, so it mapped the character based on whatever standard frequency is known. I don't have any music background, but probably it is trying to emulate the frequencies of whatever annotations we have in the music, and that's what it is trying to create. But this is really cool. So basically, emulate the notes based on whatever frequency it can generate and get. Although the UI itself is not that good, which we could try to see if we can improve, but right now it still works. Let's see if we can prompt it to have a visual keyboard. So let's go to Composer and you visual keyboard instead of just to use SVG keyboard should look as big as possible. Visual keyboard using SVG is perfect. That's what we wanted. This looks like all the frequencies for all the notations that we have. I don't know how much true this is, but it does sound like it's generating the sounds accordingly. But to my interest, whatever is happening here also is pretty interesting because I would have not known this is the possibility with just the documentation provided. Okay, perfect. So now we do see that things are happening. If we keep on pressing, it does continue. So it's taking all the events as well. And it's also taking the keyboard values, which is good. And I think I don't know what this might change it to. Looks like it's the intensity is changing. So that's about it. We were able to create something really interesting out of this web API within no time. I think sure it can also emulate other devices as such, but this in itself is really interesting. I think that's it. Thank you.